Get out your teen top hats, cause we're solving some puzzles. I don't own a top hat, I apologize. This is the best I could do. I like this hat, actually. I like this hat a lot. It's cute. It's, Peter Grimm. You see this dapper gent here? That's Professor Herschel Layton, archaeologist professor at some fancy-smancy university or something. And in this world, for some reason, puzzles are a way of life, and this bad boy is the best puzzle solver out there.
Do you have any idea how good at puzzles you need to be for people to just start recognizing you on the street? You gotta be really frickin' good.
Sorry. Anyway, Professor Layton is a series of story-driven puzzle games originally released on the Nintendo DS by Level 5, the studio that did Yokai Watch, Ni no Kuni, and a couple Dragon Quest games. Every Professor Layton game typically has the same setup. There's a big mystery that needs to be solved, and you explore a new location with your trusty apprentice, Luke. Also, Emmy, but we'll get into that later. For right now, just focus on Luke and Layton. That's all you need to think about. You go around and solve randomly appearing puzzles, sometimes helping out some of the locals. Imagine it like a point-and-click adventure game. Because it is. When Level 5 was trying their hand at developing a new IP, they wanted a game that was approachable to anyone. A game that could be enjoyed by someone young and by that young person's grandma. What happened was they saw the success of Brain Age, and how people would never typically buy a Nintendo DS would go out and buy one solely just to play Brain Age. And since Professor Layton was Level 5's first original game, they needed to make sure it was a success. Thus, they took the puzzle approach. They focused on taking that formula and enhancing it. Knowing that they couldn't get by with just making puzzles, they added a story, animated cutscenes, and a really cute and appealing art style that I still adore to this day. It was also the reason they decided to publish the game on Nintendo DS. They wanted to tap into the Brain Age market. Professor Layton is constructed in a series of 2 trilogies. The first trilogy being The Curious Village, and here's my copy, The Diabolical Box, here's my copy, and The Unwound Future, also my copy. When they were initially tackling the creation of these games, they knew they were going to make a trilogy, but they didn't actually have everything planned out. They would release one game, and then they would start thinking about what should happen in the next game, which is just no. Which, if you ask me, kind of explains why some of the interconnecting stories gets a little confusing.
Hi there. This is Negative again. I'm editing this video and realizing that as I'm saying this, I actually made this video solely based on my memory of the games after having grown up playing them. I don't actually know if the changing villains and plot lines is actually confusing, or if I was just a really stupid kid because I started playing the series in middle school. I really should have, just replayed the games a little bit before making this video. So, if you go into the comments and tell me that I'm dumb and that the story isn't complicated at all, then I understand completely. Please go into the comments and tell me whether or not I am dumb. Okay? Okay. Thank you. I'll let you finish the video now.
After the release of the first trilogy came the prequel trilogy, where they included the new character, Emmy. Remember how I talked about her? Yeah, this is where she appears. Now, when they started making this trilogy, they didn't really convey that it was a prequel upon the release of the 4th game, The Last Spectre. And so when you start playing and you see Emmy and not Luke, you're thinking to yourself, what the hell? Oh my god, they killed Luke! When in reality, this game actually shows how Luke and Layton first met. You just have to assume that Emmy eventually goes her own way prior to the events of the Curious Village. And after that was the Miracle Mask and the Azran Legacy, released for 3DS. These were also part of the prequel trilogy in case you decide to get into the video game series after this and you don't want to be horribly confused like I was. They also released app games because they wanted money. The first one being Professor Layton Royale, which was released exclusively on Mobage, I think. Mobage? Something like that. I know you pronounce the E. Also known as Not America. This was not released in America. This game was discontinued in favor of Professor Layton and the Phantom Thieves, which was also only for Japan. But they did release Layton Brothers Mystery Room in English for us, even though I still don't have a lot of money and didn't really get past anything beyond what was free to play. They also released The Mansion of the Deathly Mirror and Layton 7. For the love of God, that's probably too many mobile games, my dude. Professor Layton was getting pretty big, at least in my eyes. Professor Layton is what really put Level 5 on people's radar. It was big enough to warrant an animated movie, The Eternal Diva, which I thought was the coolest thing since Cheesy Fries when I first watched it. Also, there was some manga and a novel or two, which frankly is the real crime here. I can forgive the mobile games not being localized, mostly because I wasn't going to play them anyway, but how dare you deprive my sweet, sweet literature? Do you know who I am? I know you don't, but that shouldn't be important. I want those books in my hands. At the very least, Level 5 was kind enough to localize the obvious former Japanese exclusive game, Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. It just took them 2 goddamn years. The best part is that if you look at official fan-made timelines, you'll find that this game is integrated into that timeline, even though it's a spin-off, which suggests the game is story relevant. Now, a lot of fans don't consider this game story relevant because it is a spin-off. And to that I say, any DS or 3DS title is story relevant. You fake fans. I will gladly excommunicate anyone from this fandom if you dare pose me. Now you might be wondering, Negative, you've shown footage of every physical copy of the game you have. Why aren't you showing footage of this game? And I'm glad you asked. You see, I don't own it. The game came out for us over here in the good old US of A in 2014, and during that time period, I was in high school. In other words, I was poor as hell, and that game now costs a minimum of $70 if I want to get the physical version, which I do. I'm not going to get a digital version, screw you, person who was about to comment that in the comment section. But please do that anyway, because it helps the algorithm with this video. Will I buy it eventually? Maybe, if I can just stop purchasing collector's editions of new video games that come out. I have a problem. So, what happened?
I honestly don't know, Luke.
Well, very recently, Level 5 has said that they're basically shutting down their North American division. It's not completely shut down because they're still trying to keep things alive, but the general consensus is that the virus that shall not be named is having a major impact on the company. Not only that, but interest in the Professor Layton series had seriously dwindled once they stopped putting Layton on the cover and instead took an incredibly bold move of focusing on his daughter Catriel. And even an anime tie-in to that game was not enough to respark interest. We Layton lovers are simply too fond of that beady-eyed, top-wearing, sexy gentleman. Perhaps it's not the end. In fact, Level 5 halting their American division is probably a good thing. If they have to do what they need to do in order to not go bankrupt during these trying times, then I feel we need to be understanding. Does it suck that people are being laid off? Yes! Immensely, incredibly so. But if the entire company goes bankrupt, then everyone's laid off. I'm trying to look on the bright side. It's not working. I am still sad. Well, that's everything I have for this video. If you want to PayPal me $70 in order for me to buy the Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright video game, then my DMs on Twitter is open. Please do not send me pictures of your no-no parts. Some people have already done that. I know I am an incredibly attractive femboy, but please, I still have emotions. I hope you enjoyed this video. Tell me in the comments what your favorite Professor Layton game is, and what your favorite Level 5 game is. If it's the same thing as your favorite Professor Layton game, change it up. Come on, get creative, dude. Stay beautiful, and keep playing.